Hi, my name's Anna. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my buddies. This video is going to be all about living on a budget that fits your lifestyle and steps to achieving your financial goals. So, first things first, know your budget. Whether it's a student loan or a monthly salary, know how much you have coming in after tax. What is your budget? Living on a budget doesn't mean living on nothing. It can just mean being smart about your money, which we could all learn to do a little bit better. So, have you ever heard of the 50-30-20 rule? 50% on essentials, 30% on non-essentials, and 20% on savings. Of course, this ratio doesn't work for everyone, and we all get paid different amounts, we live different lifestyles, we have different commitments. This is just a general ratio that can be helpful if you're just getting started with learning how to budget. And if you are hitting these figures, 50-30-20, you're doing pretty well. Once you figure out what your key expenses are, such as rent, utility bills, phone bill, anything that's going to predictably come out of your bank account every month, you're going to want to organize your bank so that it's taken care of and you don't need to remember to pay those really vital bills each month. Because if you do forget one, it can affect your credit score, which isn't the end of the world, but with a better credit score, it can help with mortgages or bank loans down the line. So that can be a great thing to keep in mind. It's also been said not to spend more than 30% on your rent, but since I live in London, I pay more like 50% if you're including all of the utility bills, which isn't great, but I mean, if you don't earn a high salary, I'm an architect, and before I was an architect, I earned even less, so my monthly rent was more like 60 or higher percent of my salary, which is really not great, especially if you ever want to save to buy a house. And yeah, for people in our generation or in the future generations. So if you ever want to buy a house, it can be a little bit of a struggle if you're using that portion of your salary on rent. If you can aim for 30% of your salary to be put on rent, that's great if you can hit that, but don't live anywhere unsafe or inappropriate. Your safety should be your number one priority, and since we've been living and working from home for the past year, where you live is even more important than ever. Like I said, London is a really expensive city, and if you live in an expensive city anywhere in the world, sometimes you have to get a little creative with your finances and look at creating alternative revenue streams, which I've been doing over the past year, managing more than one job at a time. It can be a little bit challenging. I will discuss that in another video, and how I did it, how I got on, the struggles I faced, and maybe what I would do differently. Now that you know about these ratios, where do you end up in there? Do you know your key expenses? And have you written them all down? Have you organized them in your bank? That's a great place to get started. Another key item is debt. If you are in any serious debt with a high interest rate, you're going to want to make paying that off a priority on your list. I'm going to put it up there with key expenses that you need to put ahead of any additional items that you could buy or spend money on for the rest of the month. Being an adult can be hard, and focusing on bills and all of these payments can be stressful, but once you organize them, it will take that stress away and it'll be so much easier. During my bachelor's degree, I needed extra income because I wasn't allowed a student loan based on being American in the UK at the time. So I got a job as a warden at my university, and I had to look after about 100 students. I had to work from 5 p.m. till 9 a.m. and balance a full-time course, including lectures and courses and presentations, which was a little bit of a challenge, and I actually didn't even earn enough to cover my rent, but that money did really help with food, which is key, it's pretty important. Printing costs, because I was an architecture student and we had to spend several £100s on portfolios and weekly tutorials and crits. I think they've moved into more of a digital era now, which is excellent, but oh no, my age is showing. As well as phone bill and other expenses. So having that job was really helpful, but it did teach me that I had to balance, work with education, which, education is so important. You should always make that a priority, but if you do need to work, then you do what you gotta do. That's about it. The next essential item is one of my favorites, food. This can fluctuate week to week, but if you can track it over a month, then you might be able to better predict in the future how much you're gonna spend on food. Like I said, it can vary. If you know how much you're spending on groceries and then maybe how many times you go out for dinner or you order in nowadays, then you can calculate how much you spend on food. And if you're looking for somewhere to budget, food can be an excellent place to reduce your costs depending on where you shop, how you cook, where you eat, so on and so forth. I might need to make a whole separate video about that, but I will talk about a couple of those points right now. Food budget ideas. 1. Never go to the store hungry. You might have heard this, but it's true. If you go hungry, you're probably gonna buy a bunch of random things that you didn't really need. Also, if you're focusing on nutrition, if you go to the store hungry, your body might crave instant satisfaction or sugary foods. So try not to go to the store hungry, so you focus on buying what you really need to nourish your body. Another point, make a list before you go to the store. I love lists, so this isn't really much of a struggle for me, but even if it's in your phone, that's still cool. Just look around your house before you go, note anything down that you're running low on or that you've run out of, and add them to the list. Better yet, if you know the layout of your supermarket, yeah, this is getting intense. What you should do is organize your list in the route that you would best take throughout the store, because then you don't need to go back and forth across the store a bunch of times, which is kind of time consuming, especially if you have a trolley and there's busy people, and there's probably too many details, but yeah, that can be helpful if you can organize them all in bulk. Or even if it's just vegetables and fruits, because you know those are in a similar area, and then kind of go down the list. Yeah, and if you remember something later on, just put an arrow so you don't forget. Yeah. So if you don't like going to the store, or going to the store is too difficult, you can always shop online. If you have stores within your area that offer it, there's a lot that do. Shopping online can also be a great way to avoid overspending in the store and help you buy what you really need to help nourish your body. Another tip is meal prep. It can be a great way to save money if you buy in bulk and then cook in bulk as well. I like to cook just once a week because I don't really have time during the week because I work multiple jobs. So I generally cook on a Sunday, and then I will refrigerate up to 4 days worth of food, and then I will freeze the rest so that it doesn't go bad, because I have a big issue with food expiring. I went through my cupboards and cleared them out a couple weeks ago and found food as old as expired in 2013. It was kind of embarrassing. I took a picture of everything on the counter. There was sauces and flour and spices that all expired years ago. And if any of you guys have food in your cupboards that is older than 2013 expiration date, please write them in the comments so that I don't feel quite so bad. But also, yes, it's a great time. Just New Year, clean out those cupboards, get organized, and make sure that you're not eating food that could make you sick. It's important. Another tip for meal prep is using glass containers instead of plastic. You can put them in the oven, microwave, freeze them, and they're not going to deteriorate over time, and they're also dishwasher friendly, so that's great. Next on the 50-30-20 ratio would be the 30% non-essential items. But first, I think we should talk about savings, which would be the 20%. If you can save more than 20%, amazing, well done. But saving can be a challenge for some people. So if you can find a specific goal in mind, something that you're working towards, whether it's something big like a car or a house or retirement, or something fun like a holiday that can really motivate you to save money every month. You can think of a specific number that you want to save, and then whatever percent that happens to be is great. And any saving is a step in the right direction. So, well done. I personally want to try and make as much financial progress as I can before I have children, because I don't want the stress of finances to weigh me down when I could be enjoying being a mother one day. So I'm working really hard right now, being an architect and working on other revenue streams to create passive income so that that will align with my values one day and that I can spend more time with my future kids. I also know that my expenses will drastically change when I am paying for more than just me. So I want to be prepared for that and be able to work in my job and balance all aspects of my life one day. Fingers crossed. So you might be overspending and you're not really sure what you're overspending on. There are a lot of great apps and even some banks that you can track what you're spending, and then you can see the areas that you might be overspending. I just said overspending a lot. Once you know where the problem is, then you can start to work on the solution. Which leads us to the non-essential items that you can buy every month. This is the area where you will have the most flexibility to budget. You can challenge yourself to live on less and get really creative with what you already have. You can DIY, repurpose, and reuse items from your house that you didn't think would work. For example, I made this fun wheel out of a pizza base, chopsticks, bottle caps, Pringle lid, tape, and a paper clip. So yeah, this is all from my recycling. Why did I make it? I thought it would be fun, and when I was a live streamer, it was a good tool. Yeah, so anyways, you can do fun crafts like that as well. And all I did was learn how to make that on YouTube in about 5 minutes, so you can do it. Another area to save money is clothes. Most of us have plenty of clothes, and we do live in a consumerist society, but you know, having something new isn't always the best idea. If you like ethical fashion, one great way to focus on that when you're on a budget is charity shops or thrift stores, because there are always some great deals in there. Like I got this dress, which I think is like fun, cool, like business dress for about £5 in London, and I think it's a great deal and it's super comfortable and great for winter. So you can find excellent stuff. And you're not buying something new, you're buying something sort of reused, so it's more cyclical, you know, life cycle assessment and all of that. So your purchase is better for the environment, and charity shops also donate the money to charity, so it's a win-win. You win shopping, but you also donate it to charity. So just a thought. So if you have more money in your non-essential category that you could spend, try and be as sustainable and thoughtful with your money as possible. You can shop locally and make the most of your expenses to support your community. And if you struggle with potential compulsive shopping, ask yourself, do you really need this? Do you really need it? Is there anything that you own that you could use instead, or that would work instead? Could you potentially repurpose something to replace that desire? Can you wait to buy it until next month? Have you researched this item in comparison to other items on the market and found the best deal? Once you've asked those questions for every purchase that you're thinking of doing, you'll get into the habit of buying less and only buying what you need or what is essential. If you're lucky enough to have even 5% of your salary left over after your key expenses, try and use that money for something fun, because are we living to work or are we working to live? Things you can get with that 5%, you can go on Groupon, you can get a massage, you could go out for a dinner with deals online, there always are. You could go to a movie with a friend. This is all post-COVID ideas. In COVID, you could buy a movie that you could watch from home, or order a fun game that you could play with your friends. Try and use 5% of your salary to do something that makes you feel good and makes you happy. And if you cut back on a few non-essential things, you might be able to go for more adventures and enjoy more of your life. And if you're able to cut back in other areas of your budget, then you might be able to use more of it on something fun for yourself and your family or friends. Lastly, you have your budget, you have a certain amount, but you can always add more. You can be as creative and thrifty with making more money as legally possible. You can always find ways to make more money on the side. Good side hustle. I'm going to give you a bunch of examples in another video about different types of jobs that you can have on the side and how to balance having multiple jobs. Getting more than one job is ambitious, creative, and admirable, whether you're just trying to get by or you're trying to get ahead. So well done. This was just a general budgeting overview. If you want any specific budgeting tips, just write them in the comments, let me know, and I will try and produce that content for you. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by liking and subscribing, and I can't wait to see you next time. Be kind to each other, be kind to yourself, and have a great day. Bye!